Hey, how's it going everyone? We all know that Blizzard has not done the best job as of late with Diablo 4. The recent feedback has been insane, yet rightfully deserved to some degree, especially a recent tweet that may suggest a lengthy wait time for a sought out option for players. Now, first and foremost, I want to say I actually enjoy Diablo 4 quite a lot, and even though I feel that way, I can also see why a lot of fellas out here are frustrated with the current state of Blizzard. One of the problems currently is that there is not a filter option, and possibly might not be one for months or until next year, 2024. So if we take a look over at X or Twitter, whichever one you want to call it, there was a recent question asked by a fan that was directed at Rod Ferguson. We can see this right here. Quote, any chance of some kind of loot filter, getting fed up with picking up every gem, trying to get my yellows, etc. Rod Ferguson replied back with, quote, definitely part of our backlog. What you might be thinking is that this is not bad at all. Well, it might not be alright after all, considering that backlog is meant to be, obviously, as it sounds, it's placed in the back, aka not as important as the current issues that are at the top list of improvements. The whole filter update being sort of postponed has received a lot of backlash, considering most have assumed this will not take place until months later or longer. There was a post made by a current player that spent most of his time in the QA space. The Reddit user had said this within the post. Quote, for those that may not be familiar with what that actually means, when something is backlogged, this does not mean it is being actively worked on. Just the opposite. Actually, I've worked in QA space for most of my career, and I've come to understand that when products move a ticket to the backlog, that means you're looking at several months to even a year before it's implemented. He finishes up right there, and let's assume he is legitimately a part of some sort of QA, then the whole wait time for filters seems a bit ridiculous on the developer's part. This of course should have been in the game day one instead of future we may not see till next year. Sadly, if this is the case, then we can only wait and see if the developers over at Blizzard will be able to successfully execute on their most important to-do list. This way they can then add the loot filtering as soon as possible. And to play devil's advocate here, they could just possibly be working on some great in-game content before revealing something like a filter option. If you recall from the campfire chat that they talked about briefly on how they are going to figure out some sort of way to make some great in-game content. And if it is the case that they are working on that, then yeah, I would be okay with it, because in the end we really need something that's going to give us that rush when we pick up a powerful item. Now, to move along here, it would be great to address something that's been going around as well as I've shared it with you all. There is a developer update video on Diablo's channel where, the two devs talked about the development of Diablo 4. Well, this went quite viral to where comments were filled with what some would claim negative. The interesting thing is that the comments in this video have now been set to private, and supposedly the two developers in this video were dungeon designers, meaning they had no actual input in the development besides creating dungeons. I suppose it makes sense why they played the way they did. They seem to be super casual players to where they probably hardly ever pick up a controller, if I had any idea. Now let's take a spin in a positive direction, because you can expect some cosmetic changes for Sorcerer and Druids in the future. One of the biggest things is probably for Sorcerers, because if you played as a male, then you were fully aware that males have more of a intriguing appearance, shall we say. The director of product, Keegan Clark, posted this over on Twitter, quote, thanks for all the awesome images and feedbacks on male Sorc armors. The team is looking at these now. It takes a while to build the art for armor sets, so we appreciate your patience. And then one of her latest tweets can be found right here. Quote, we'll have more new and different looks coming for Druids in Season 2, ... Stay tuned, and please share images if you have a specific look you want to rock, end quote. There was a fellow who shared a Sub-Zero as an outfit. How do you feel about some sort of Mortal Kombat armor in Season 2? What's cool is the developer responded that she is interested in this idea essentially, so this is exciting to see, and hopefully by that time, everything is polished up and we have some great in-game content for Diablo 4. With everything being said, is Diablo 4 a great game? Is it worth the money, or was it worth buying when we did purchase it? I think if you are a casual player where you're not on as often, then this game is going to be for you. The campaign is great as well as the storyline. I feel like most of the hate on this game is deserved in terms of in-game. Yet at the same time, if you are a player that has a lot of time on your hands, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but if you do, then you are able to play this game as much as you want. So eventually you are going to run out of things to do faster than a casual player would. Is this game perfect? I would say by no means is this by at all, right? Because there needs to be some improvements, such as higher chance for unique items. There should be a look for group option, or short for LFG. I'm honestly just chipping away at the ice here on what needs to be addressed, because there are some resilience problems still that should be fixed by Season 2 or on the release of Season 2, I believe. Sorcerers have been improved, just not as great as they could be, but things are looking up. Storage received an awesome update recently, although it does need to be increased more instead of one extra tab. Upgrading items can also downgrade some things, which is an odd system to have, and in-game has got to keep us entertained for months. The reason why is because in-game content is that extra piece of meat there at the end that you can just chew on for a little bit longer to keep yourself satisfied. Instead, right now, it's like we're left with just the bone and all the meat is nowhere to be found. It's like someone already came by and like scraped it all up. Essentially, that's just a metaphor of some sort, which is probably the worst one to compare a content to a piece of meat. But either or, the thing is that right now this is something that we need. We need something that's going to keep us entertained for a while. If I could throw in my 2 cents here, I would say we should do something like add a replayable option for certain campaign missions, specifically bosses, where there are modifiers and you're able to earn some extra loot. Or if they want to try out something different, they could obviously add better rewards for those challenges. So when you do complete them, you do receive a title, but you also receive a cash, or maybe you receive something else that's equally rewarding, right? I think in the end, we need something that's going to give us the rush, like I mentioned midway throughout this whole video. This is what a lot of players are looking forward to, because when you pick up loot right now, it's just not as great as it could be. It's not as appealing, or to where I'm like, okay, I'm going to hop on to Diablo, grind it out, get this item. If anything, I felt that way towards uber unique items. That is until you realize that it is extremely rare. This is something that also needs to be adjusted so that we have a better way of picking up some uber unique items. There's just a lot of things that could be handled right now to where the game could be interesting. I find it frustrating because I actually enjoy the game quite a lot, and I still do. I think eventually it will, kind of lower down a little bit as I progress more and take out the Uber Lilith, because I've yet to do that. And that's why I'm still finding some sort of enjoyment out of the game. Not necessarily a lot, but I can see a lot of the frustrations, and it is true that this game is definitely going under right now. This is if they do not fix the current issues that we all can see and we've all talked about, and it's just a community thing. I think equally, we all can say that the game does need to be improved in in-game content. So with that being said, hopefully that's what we see in the future. If not, then you can pretty much guess what's going to happen with the game. It's not going to go too well. Other than that, hope you guys have found this video helpful, entertaining to some degree. I hope you have. If you have, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comment down below. I will reply back within the first hour or two. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next video.